Yeah, so that's so the first thing we want to make sure that people know about Proposition 1 is that, you know, it's called the same-sex marriage law, but it's not about sex.
No.
No.
Same gender.
Yeah, same-gender marriage law. Mm-hmm. And well, what is it about then?
Well, it's about people of either the same gender or different genders being able to marry. That's a legal marriage. Mm-hmm. You had said on Friday that maybe we need to have more distinctions in the words.
Yes.
That maybe marriage is something that we can give to the religious groups,
right.
And we will retain for all people, including people of two different gender, the term of a civil union.
Yeah, and if even if people had the religious definition of marriage, they'd have to have a civil union to get the state protections. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, right. That would be a separation of church and state, wouldn't it?
It would.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'd be possible if a man and a woman would get married before by a priest, minister, rabbi, whatever.
There is something that keeps coming up. It's kind of like one of these dark little things that keeps coming up. That even in Muddy's comments in his letter, he keeps wanting to call this homosexual marriage. He keeps wanting to play the sex card in this, and so the question that came up for me was, well, these same gender couples. Does it decree that they must have sex if they get this the same gender marriage? I mean, is that what it's about to the Yes on One campaign? That it's.
I think that at its basis there was this is very similar to the letter that Joe Steinberger had in the Free Press this past week, where he said oftentimes we say, well, it has to do with procreation, but if two octogenarians get married, clearly we're not talking about procreation, and yet we experience that as something that's sweet. It's wonderful for two people who in the waning years of their lives find love and decide to get married. But there's something that is, I think, fundamentally discomforting for many people when somebody with two people of the same gender choose to get married. I know that my experience has been that here in Maine, I got married. Mm-hmm. Technically speaking, the town clerk told us, I will be sending in this money and this form, and technically speaking, when you wake up on Friday, which was 4 days from when we signed, 4 days from then, the state of Maine would consider us married. Later, on that same day, in the afternoon, we went before a minister of a Congregationalist church, and he married us. Since that, over 30 years ago, I've seen a number of my friends get married in Maine, here in Maine. The most recent one was 2 weekends ago, where 2 people each married their second spouse. Now, they had met and known each other for about a year, and they got married, and it was a wonderful wedding, and everybody enjoyed the reception. I'm very happy for them that they were able to find love and two family, a family, and they got married. But I note that that Shelley Pingree, Congresswoman Shelley Pingree from the Hearst District, recently talked about a set of mutual friends, David and David, whom I've known for a number of years. They have been together for 22 years, and very committed, very much in love with each other, very well known in their community, and they are unable to marry as of now, in the state of Maine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So where I was going with this, though, is if they want to make it about sex, what's their stand on it seems like that they think that this legalizes them getting together and having sex.
I think that may be the unspoken thought.
Or that marriage assumes that you have to have sex.
I think that oftentimes is sort of in the background.
So where do they stand on this issue? Like, recently in Afghanistan, there was the issue of husbands being able to force their wives to have sex. Where do they stand on that issue?
Well, a very similar thing.
If marriage is about sex, that it would seem that they would support that the law in Afghanistan that said that if a man wanted to force his wife to have sex, that was okay.
We're not that far removed from this, Steve. I mean, we only about 20 years ago passed a law here in Maine that made gross sexual assault illegal between a husband and wife. And there was fierce opposition to that being added to the statutes here in Maine less than 20 years ago.
Yeah. So, I think that what has happened is there are the complexities of human rights. And traditionally, as a people, us in America, we've not done a really good job of that. We for a couple of hundred years we had slaves. For a couple of hundred years, we denied women the right to vote. I lived through the time in the 60s during the civil rights demonstrations in the South. I know from my own experience in life that we do not have a good record in this country with human rights, and in our record on human rights is directly related to our inability to look outside our own window. It's like we've got a lens that we look at life through, and we're unwilling to look at it any other way. And it has caused us over time to continue archaic things that violated the rights of others.